Welcome to Betrayal Affairs. In today's video, we dive into a story that begins in the most ordinary way but soon spirals into a complicated web of temptation, emotions, and choices that carry consequences far beyond what anyone expected. This is not just about love or betrayal, it's about the blurred lines we cross when our hearts and desires pull us in opposite directions. So, let's begin. It all started on a humid Wednesday afternoon, the kind of day that felt endless, with the sun pressing down on the city and office windows reflecting the glare like unforgiving mirrors. Inside that office, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, documents piled up like miniature towers, and the familiar hum of keyboards blended with the ringing of phones. For most people, it was just another ordinary workday. But for me, it was the beginning of something I never saw coming. I had always prided myself on being professional, keeping my head down, doing my work, and not mixing personal feelings with business. But when he walked in, a new addition to our department, something in the air shifted. His presence wasn't loud or demanding, it was subtle, almost disarming. The way he carried himself, confident but not arrogant, made people notice without him even trying. He greeted everyone with a smile, a firm handshake, and when his eyes met mine for the first time, I felt something stir inside me that I couldn't quite name. At first, it was harmless. Just glances exchanged across the room during meetings, casual conversations by the coffee machine, laughter at small jokes nobody else seemed to find funny. I told myself it was nothing, just the ordinary friendliness that comes with being colleagues. But deep down, I knew it was more. The way his gaze lingered on me a second longer than necessary, the way my chest tightened every time he leaned close to explain something on my computer screen, his voice low enough that I could feel it echoing in my stomach. Days turned into weeks, and with each passing moment, the tension between us grew heavier, like a rope being pulled tighter and tighter, ready to snap. I tried to ignore it. I went home every evening to my husband, smiling, cooking dinner, listening to him talk about his day, pretending everything was fine. But in the quiet spaces of my mind, when the dishes were done and the house fell silent, I couldn't stop replaying every small detail from the office, the way his fingers brushed mine when handing me a file, the softness in his tone when he asked how my day was going, the warmth in his eyes when he looked at me like I was the only person in the room. One Friday evening, as the office emptied out, I stayed behind to finish some work. I thought I was alone until I heard footsteps behind me. I turned, and there he was, standing with his jacket slung over his arm, asking why I was still there. I laughed nervously, brushing a strand of hair from my face, trying to act casual. He leaned against the desk across from me, his tie loosened, his sleeves rolled up, looking more relaxed than I had ever seen him before. The atmosphere shifted, thick with something unspoken. We talked. About work, about life, about the little things people rarely share in an office setting. And then, there was silence, the kind of silence that doesn't demand words because the air is already saying everything. His eyes locked onto mine, and for a moment, the world outside those office walls ceased to exist. I don't even remember who leaned in first, but suddenly, we were closer than we had ever been. My heart pounded so loud I was sure he could hear it. His hand brushed against mine, deliberately this time, and I didn't pull away. I should have. Every part of me knew I should have. But in that moment, the lines between right and wrong blurred, and desire drowned out every rational thought. That night didn't end in the office. I left, walking into the cool night air, my body trembling with the weight of what almost happened. I hadn't crossed the line, not yet. But I knew it was only a matter of time. And once you see the edge, it becomes harder and harder not to step over it. The following weeks were torture. Every day felt like a game of pretending I didn't want him, pretending my marriage was untouched, pretending I could handle this. My husband noticed I was distracted. He asked me if I was stressed at work, and I lied, smiling, assuring him everything was fine. Inside, I was unraveling. The turning point came one rainy evening when everyone else had already gone home. I stayed late again, trying to distract myself with paperwork, but the truth is, I was waiting. And when I heard the familiar sound of his footsteps, I knew it was no accident that he stayed behind too. He stood in the doorway, watching me with an intensity that made my breath hitch. Without a word, he closed the door behind him. The sound of the latch clicking shut echoed through the room like a final warning, one I chose to ignore. He walked closer, slow and deliberate, until he was standing just inches away. My pen slipped from my fingers, rolling onto the floor, but neither of us moved to pick it up. His hand brushed against my arm, and in that simple touch, all the restraint I had clung to dissolved. What happened next felt inevitable. It was a choice, yes, but it also felt like a storm we had both been bracing for, knowing we couldn't stop it once it began. The lines blurred completely, and in the quiet darkness of that office, we crossed into a place we could never return from. The guilt hit me like a tidal wave afterward. I went home to my husband that night, forcing myself to smile, forcing my hands to act normal as I set the table, forcing my voice to sound steady as I asked him about his day. He kissed me goodnight, his lips warm and trusting, and I closed my eyes, wishing I could erase what had happened. But the memory lingered, sharp and vivid, refusing to fade. Days passed, and the office felt different now. Every glance with him carried a weight, every word exchanged held layers beneath the surface. Nobody else noticed, or at least, they didn't say anything. But I knew people were watching, the way coworkers sometimes do when they sense something unspoken. Whispers in the break room, curious glances when we walked in together, it was all there, hanging in the air like smoke after a fire. I told myself it was a mistake, that it wouldn't happen again. But mistakes have a way of repeating themselves when desire is stronger than willpower. And so, it happened again. And again. Each time, I promised myself it was the last. Each time, I went home with guilt clawing at my chest, smiling at my husband as though nothing had changed, when in reality, everything had. The dual life became exhausting, days filled with stolen glances, and nights filled with lies. I was trapped in a cycle of wanting and regretting, needing and fearing. I didn't know how much longer I could keep it hidden. One afternoon, as I walked out of the office, my phone buzzed with a message. It was from him. Just one sentence that sent a chill down my spine: "We can't keep this a secret forever." I froze, staring at the screen, my heart racing. What did he mean? Was he tired of hiding? Was he suggesting we tell the truth? Or worse, was he threatening me? The possibilities swirled in my head like a storm I couldn't escape. When I looked up, I saw my husband waiting by the car, smiling at me, completely unaware of the chaos inside my mind. I forced a smile back, tucking my phone into my pocket, but the words from that message echoed louder with each step I took. We can't keep this a secret forever. And that was when I realized, sooner or later, the truth would come out. Whether by choice, by accident, or by betrayal, it was only a matter of time. And that's where the story pauses for now. Because in life, not every ending is neat or tied with a bow. Some endings linger in the air, heavy with unanswered questions, leaving you wondering what will happen next. Will the truth come out? Will the marriage survive? Or will the secret destroy everything in its path? Only time will tell.